Welcome once again on a series of tutorial on SQL programming. In this tutorial, we will be talking about group by and having clause of SQL. So in order to get a result, group under a one column, we have a group by clause in SQL. We know that for a select statement, to give a condition, we have a where clause. The group by clause is coming after the where clause and before the order by clause. For the better understanding of this statement, we will be trying up with an example. But first, understand the theoretical part. Now this clause, it groups the records into a summary of records, thereby returning only one record for each column. So that means, if we have multiple columns, entries or multiple rows containing the record group for a city is equal to Pune, so we are going to get only a single record for the city Pune if we are going to use the group by clause. Thus, one or more columns can be grouped using the group by clause. Now, mostly the group by clause is used using the aggregate functions, count, max, sum, average, etc. If you have not come across the aggregate functions and it's working, you can refer the previous tutorials. The syntax of the group by clause is as follows. As I told you that it comes after the where's condition. So select column name from table name where the condition and group by a particular column. And if we want to integrate for the same syntax, the order by, the syntax would be select column name from table name where the condition group by a particular column and order that column either in ascending or descending order, that is ASC and DESC. By default, the order by clause that is used with the group by clause orders the records in ascending order, but if we want explicitly the records in descending order, we need to specify DESC with the order by column name. Now for this, we are going to consider the example of an employee table containing the details as ID, name, city, underscore ID and salary. Now, if we are going to consider this table, we can see that. So now, if we are going to consider this table, I have added some more records to the previously employee table and I have changed the column name as city underscore ID. Now here we can see that there are multiple records, approx 10, and the cities of different records are repeating as per the city IDs, right? So ID number 1, city ID is 10, ID number 4, city ID is 10, ID number 7, city ID is 10, ID number 8, city ID is 10. Now we will understand the working of group by for this particular example. Consider if I have to find out the name of the employee and their city from which each of the city should be grouped in such a way that I am going to get the maximum salary of the employee, right? What is my criteria? I want to get the name of those employees and their respective cities, and for each city IDs, I want such a name of employee for which the salary of that particular employee in that particular city should be the maximum of all the other employees' salary. So my statement would be select name, city ID, the column for which I am interested in, and max of salary is what is my aggregate function, from the table name that is employee, and I want to group them under the condition that is city ID. The output of this particular SQL statement would be Radha to Jack, and for each of the city IDs that I am having, by default the system has sorted in the ascending order 10, 20, 30, 40. For the city ID number 10, the person named Radha is getting the maximum salary. Right? That was all what is the group by clause that has sorted our cities under a particular column name that is city ID with no duplicate values. Just in order to get this statement cross-verified, for a particular city ID number 10, I am going to list all the employees with the statement select name, city ID and salary from employee table where city ID is equal to 10. So what I am going to get for this is at the city ID number 10, the employee that is getting the maximum salary is Radha, and that is what my group by clause has mentioned me before. Having clause. In order to restrict the group by with an aggregate function, we are using having clause with the group by. The summarized group by results can then be filtered using the having, right? So the further filtration and specific conditions with the group by clause is given using the having clause. Where applies to this, we have to keep in mind that where applies to the individual records and having applies to the summarized records. The groups that are satisfying the having criteria will be returned, right? So it is a part of condition only. Having can be used, this is a very important thing to be remembered, that having can be used only with the group by clause and with no other clause. So if your query has a group by clause mentioned, only then it can be succeeded by a having clause, otherwise it's impossible. Moreover, where and having can be used in a same query also. For where we can give a different condition, and for group by having we can give a different condition. Consider the same example of employee table, and if we want to find the name of employees who are getting the maximum salary from each particular cities, but giving the criteria that when they have been sorted, the salary should be more than 20,000, my query would be select name and city ID, where I want a max of salaries, and remember that aggregate functions returns a numeric value, so it can be only applied to a numeric data type column. From table name, that is employee, and I want to group them by cities. Having condition says that even if you want to group them under cities, the max salary of a particular ID should be greater than 20,000. So I am going to get these many records. Earlier we have got the record one more than that of the group by. Now using the order by clause. So order by is used to give the ascending and descending order of the result set. And here if I am preceding my same query with the order by clause and explicitly giving DESC, that specifies that I want the column results of city ID that has been grouped to be sorted in the descending order of the results, right? So the one city ID that is getting the maximum paid employee will be the first in the record set. So that was all about the group by and having clause. One more important thing is that using the having clause, we can restrict the group by and with the aggregate functions, right? But we can't restrict the scope of group by that uses the aggregate function with the where clause. So aggregate clause can restrict the slope only when they are used with the having clause. But if they are used with the where clause in a group by statement, scope cannot be restricted. This is the simple example for it. The name of employees who are getting the maximum salary, but their maximum salary should be such that their city ID should be after the ID's number. Here it should be 30, sorry. So select name and max salary from employee, and if I am simply restricting it in a way that city ID should be greater than 30, I am going to get the record of only that city ID person with the maximum salary whose city ID is greater than 30, and in our case it is 40. So that was all about the aggregate, the group by and the having clause. Thank you.